Alright, so for those of you who are unaware, Skullhead has a very unique take when it comes to the ban list, in the sense where, yeah, Albion isn't the problem. Every other card that Albion summons is goated, like Yugioh and Gimmick Puppet Nightmare. You just have to ban those cards. You have to ban Disciple of Ra. And then when Master Duel did it, she's like, yeah, we're so back, chat. My philosophy is right. Hulk isn't the problem, it's the tuners it brings out type B. For those of you who didn't have to deal with this fucking card, Christian Hulk of Hybrax is a link too, where it says if it's link summoned, you special summon any level 3 or lower tuner from your deck in defense position, but it can't activate its effects this turn. Spoiler alerts, the graveyard effects still work, but you know, we didn't talk about it. And a lot of people were like, yeah, Hulk of Hybrax isn't a problem card. We just had to ban Jet Synchron and O-Lion and Deskbot 001. And like 500 other tuners, until they just banned Hulk of Hybrax and brought all these fucking cards back, you know what I mean? Hulk wasn't the problem, it was Deskbot 001. Deskbot 003 into 001, into Hulk, into another 001, into Auroradon was the most like terrorist shit of all time. That if you guys weren't around for that, fucking God bless your soul. You guys didn't have to experience the horror that was fucking Link Cross. Oh my god. I was literally playing, when I was like doing my remote duel circuit and like at the remote duel extravaganzas and shit like that. Holy hell, dude. The amount of times I've had to Hulk lock people with like at Emancipator. It is a special type of hell I should be sent to. Anyways, Scarlet doesn't really like this argument, so we're gonna take a peek. We're gonna look at it. Maybe she's right. I doubt it, but you know, maybe she'll have a good take once every 10 years. I see this take often about Sanctifier, and I desperately need people to understand that these are fundamentally different. The lockers, our only use case is to lock. The tuners are good without Hulk. Hulk summoning a vanilla is still insane. Not really, but sure. It's about hitting the cards that are problematic anytime they're used. Sanctifier's effect is powerful for other uses without being unfair. So Super Poly just is fair? When you make this take, it boils down to arguing that a shorter ban list is a better one. It's not how it works. I'm not even invested in the Sanct discourse anymore. I've accepted it's probably going to be gone in TCG next month. I'm just so tired of people acting like this is a good argument just because it sounds smart. First of all, ban list being shorter is not a real fucking take, so good job, Scarlon. You made a wonderful observation for once. The actual idea is that this weird little segment at the end, where it's like, it's about hitting the cards that are problematic anytime that they're used. Sanctifier's effect is powerful for other uses without being unfair. Cards that summon to your opponent's board have historically just been never good for the game, you know what I mean? Sanctifier's summoning Fallen of Albaz isn't like the craziest thing in the world, but it's still fucking super poly, you know what I mean? It is still non-targeting super poly for like 90% of decks. And even so, like, let's say like, oh, like Gimmick Puppet of Nightmare isn't that good, we should just ban it. Or I know the Supreme Force isn't that good, we should just ban it. Because people are just still gonna play stuff like Disciple of Ra, which you could send off Branded Fusion. There's like this idea, like floodgates are definitely a problem within the game, but it's this very weird false equivalence when Sanctifier is turning cards that otherwise don't do anything on their own into tutorable floodgates. Sanctifier existing and Branded Fusion existing as this generic foolish variable for light and dark monsters is forever going to remain a problem of game design, in the sense where Konami can't ever print cards with restrictions that are designed to lock their users into a specific archetype. You know what I mean? Sphere Mode and Lava Golem? Yeah, like these cards say fucking tribute 2 to 3. It's just broken. Like, one of the big issues people have with modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Is the idea that cards should lock you into their own archetype, or lock you under some sort of effect, or into, you know, blah blah. Like, you should be able to only play within your archetype. Otherwise, you end up with like the disgusting fuck-ass Snake Eye pile that we're dealing with right now. But when Konami like overcorrects and tries to make archetypes that are very like designed to be like, you can only do this. This is the only thing you could do, like they do with Gimmick Puppet. That's where like those sort of card designs, where Konami very much needs these decks to be very much isolated within their own game plan. If they're a light or dark deck, guess what? We're gonna be playing them in fucking Branded as like a fucking Albion thing. Like, wicked. We've done it. Additionally, like, you want to talk about floodgates? Just look at this motherfucker. This card is still playable in Branded voiceless. Like, it's not a good deck, but you could play it. There still are a bunch of fucking floodgates, you know what I mean, that exist within the format. that like you're not being smart when you say like, yeah, Gimmick Puppet is the problem, or Idol Supreme Force is the problem. There are forever gonna be like 5 billion dumbass floodgate monsters that currently exist or will exist within Yu-Gi-Oh! Because that is just the direction Konami is going to take. Because Konami has made it very, very clear based on what they ban and keep around that they want cards that are very specific within certain decks to exist as niche, broken options that basically auto-win you the game. Think of like Shifter or Lancia, or in this case Jowgen, or in like Brandon's case like Gimmick Puppet. Like these are decks that, although they are very, very low powered relative to the strength of the format as a whole, these are decks that are just able to, you know, scam wins. Like, cool. Me when I send Christia to grave off of Dusk Dragon. If you want to talk about Christia, if you play like Sprite right now and like you go first, you summon Mannequin Cat, like 80% of the time you're just gonna like win on the spot. Because Mannequin Cat, you go like your opponent summons like Fabled Lurry, you're like, hold up, Mannequin Cat target, and you summon fucking Christia out of your deck. Like, what do they do? The deck literally just like crumples on the spot. It's different with Sanctifier because these cards are only good because they're on their opponent's field, which essentially only Brandon can do. They themselves would never be a problem because they just archetype block you. The fact that they are on your opponent's field is. There are other cards that let you put cards on your opponent's field, and there will probably be more in the future. I'd rather those kind of cards exist than Floodgates. Yeah, but those cards are not competitive. If Hulk was at rank 12, it wouldn't have been good, but Brandon can easily make Sanctifier and send one free monster to the graveyard. Cards that restrict yourself are very common, and you'd reasonably have to ban 100 cards just to make Sanctifier okay. I said future cards will come out. How do you know that they won't be good? What am I reading? What am I reading? What was that? What was that exchange? They're like a non-Floodgatey target for Sanctifier that's worth using? Like as a lock? No. Other uses? Albaz, Cartesia, Mirajade, Rinbrum, Quem. Okay, so you want us to end on Super Poly or Super Poly 2? Gotcha. Ra's Disciple has some purposes, the other two don't. They should honestly ban the lockers and Sanctifier that are in Arata's Ra's Disciple. There will always be found something problematic that summon monsters to your opponent's field. Disciple sucks even in good decks, and game balance is never done to protect an unplayably bad deck from hits. It only matters if the problematic option is good. If they print another Floodgate on legs, then the problem is them putting another Floodgates on legs. But that's not the point! The point is if that they make Floodgate monsters on legs, then the issue shouldn't be like, yeah, we're going to ban this card. This is so silly. Like, the issue isn't like, this is like the fucking Hulk issue. Literally, this is literally the fucking Hulk issue. Where the issue of Hulk isn't the fact that it could summon a fucking vanilla tuner. Like, Hulk summoning a vanilla tuner was never the fucking point. The reason that made Hulk so good was because you could basically summon so many different generic tuners that had one-off cheesy effects in the graveyard or had a coincidental typing within an archetype that you could just basically benefit off of it. Think of being able to summon like 001. Think of being able to summon Glow Up Bulb. Think of being able to summon like 500 different options. If it wasn't Glow Up Bulb, it was Jet Synchron. If it wasn't Jet Synchron, it was Mecha Beast O-Line. If it wasn't O-Line, it was like, it just didn't matter what you were summoning. The fact is that there are enough cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! That Halka Firebrax is always going to be summoning something impactful. Are we saying that we should be banning Deskbot 001? No, that's not the fucking point. Like, these fucking Deskbots did nothing wrong. It was always the fact that Halka Firebrax is a card that exists to promote an unhealthy play pattern. Let me give you guys a League of Legends analogy. This is Cassante. Cassante is arguably one of the most broken champions in all of League of Legends. He has damage reduction, he has a dash, he has a knockup, he has the ability to point-click isolate people out of team fights. He has burst combos. He has damage. He has health. He has armor. He has magic resist. He has literally everything. And people will look at this and say, we need to nerf Cassante. No, the issue is not that we need to nerf Cassante to make it like better. It's not that we need to take away his knockup damage or make his dash like on a longer cooldown. The issue is that these sort of fucking champions should just never exist within the first place. Champions with overloaded kits, Yu-Gi-Oh cards with extremely highly toxic gameplay patterns, which are only ever going to be used for just the most degenerate shit on earth, such as Halka Firebrax or Albion. These cards should just never have existed within the first place. And trying to be like, well, this card is good because it might be a little bit better than the other card. Like, no, this should just never exist. But my Crystron deck did nothing. I bought Crystron! I have a deck profile on Crystron on my channel. That doesn't mean that the fucking Crystron Halka Firebrax should still exist. All that motherfucker was doing was summoning Excel Synchron. Anyways, I fucking hate Albion. I hate Gimmick Puppet. Let me know what your favorite top laner is. Mine right now is Vayne, because I'm a terrorist. Big shout outs to Cassante and Showmaker. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are on the Gimmick Puppet versus Albion debate and whether you think the tuner should be banned or the actual card should be banned. And yeah, it's gonna be it for this video. Goodbye forever.